Welcome back to another video. My name is Stephen Foster, and today we're talking about taking better outdoor photos. And generally speaking, it doesn't matter whether you're shooting on a mobile device or you're shooting on a big DSLR, mirrorless camera, interchangeable lens system. These tips are free. You don't have to buy anything. Everyone knows about V&Ds and bounces. This isn't that video. This video is if you want to up your outdoor photography game without having to buy anything. These are just some things to think about when you're out shooting, and I'll show you how these tips help me up my photo game with a couple shots that I took. All right, diving right in. First tip, think of your subject when you're shooting sunrise or sunset. A lot of people talk about golden hour, blue hour, shoot in the morning as the sun's rising, sunset, and that is a great place to start. But if you have a particular location and subject that you want to shoot, think about where the sun is going to be. If you're standing in one location and the sun's rising in the east, anywhere on this planet, sun's gonna rise in the east, and your subject is down east of you and you're shooting into that sun, that shot's gonna be backlit. It's not gonna look as epic as if you use that soft light coming up in golden hour as the key light. You are here in your vantage point and your subject is over here lit by the sun. Now your subject can be really well lit. Great example of this is when I took this shot out over this lake. I knew the sun was going to be coming up in the east. I'm facing west. The mountains are well lit. There's fog. There's a lot of drama happening in this shot. I took it on a tripod, that helped a lot. Thinking about before you go to a location for sunrise or sunset, plan that shot, plan where you're going to be, what your subject is going to be, and think about the sun as a big key and fill light for whatever subject you're shooting, whether that's landscape or an individual subject or some other type of subject. Tip number 2, find something to shoot through. Now this does a great job of establishing depth in your shots. If you have something in the foreground, like in this shot that I took, I was about almost up above the tree line here before I took the shot, but I decided to take some shots here, still in the sort of top of the tree line where you can see these 3 trees in the foreground. There's then this next layer of these hills with some houses dotted along in the forest, another layer where there's the mountains and snow on the caps there, and then a 4th layer with the clouds. This establishes depth and interest, and the more you can shoot through something to really give the person who's looking at the photo a sense of depth, that's gonna pull people in. That's gonna be a more intriguing and interesting photo. Tip number 3, if you're shooting at night, look for lights to establish depth. Here's a shot that I took that clearly establishes this. This is gonna be harder to do on a mobile device. If you're using something like a moment lens, you'll get a little bit of this natural bokeh. If you look in the top left-hand corner, you can see there's a little bit of halation around the light, but the lights still haven't gone into full bokeh yet. If you go further back in the shot towards the center of that photo, you see that those lights begin to bokeh greater and greater and greater, and that's straight out of camera because of how wide I have the aperture on the 50mm lens when I took this shot. This again helps establish depth in a much tighter frame, right? I'm not shooting over the course of miles, kilometers. This is all really tight. This is happening in maybe 50, 60 feet across this street. There's a lot of interesting things happening here because of that depth established by the bokeh of these lights at a lower aperture setting. Tip number 4 is to offset your elevation from your subject. Now, everyone's seen a great landscape photo where you're at level and line with the horizon, but if you want to up your game, make something more interesting, try finding a point of elevation where you are now angling yourself down from the angle of the horizon. In this particular shot, I got up on to a bridge that was overlooking this gangway out on the lake. I was about 20 feet up or about 6 meters up on this bridge, and that provided me an elevation change from the majority of my subject in the foreground. If you don't show in your shot how you're at this elevation, it's going to provide some intrigue and mystery, almost like you're sort of floating above the scene that you are shooting. So if you can find that elevation, look for those types of opportunities to take shots at an elevation change of what you would normally take at ground level. Tip number 5, shoot in a greenhouse for natural diffused light. Now this is kind of cheating. You're sort of not outdoors, but you're sort of also not inside or inside a normal house. Greenhouses typically have a nature vibe to them. They may have trees, plants, other things. And if they're made of sort of this waxy glass, or if they have a canvas over them or a tarp that allows for diffused light, you can get these really nice shots that are just very pleasing to the eye because light is diffused and spread spread evenly across that scene inside of the greenhouse. So that's it, 5 tips for taking better photos outside. Comment below if you have a particular shooting location, tip, trick, hack, or otherwise for taking great outdoor photos. My name is Stephen Foster. Subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. I would be honored if you would. Please be kind both in life and in the comments below. Like this video to send good vibes across the internet and out into the wilderness. People love the wilderness. The wilderness is great. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Let's do it. And we'll do it again soon. Woo! Take the hat off. Hair comes out. Whew. Gotta get that thing under control. Should probably keep that there.